1. Switzerland has a big heart for small creatures. The law actually bans you from owning just one guinea pig, because apparently that's animal loneliness. Yes, in Swiss law, guinea pigs have the right to emotional support. If you buy one, you legally have to buy another so it doesn't get sad, and call its lawyer. Imagine that court case. Your Honor, my client has been emotionally neglected by its owner. This rule might sound nuts, but it's rooted in compassion. The Swiss believe social animals deserve social lives, even if that means turning your apartment into a guinea pig dating service. So next time you visit Zurich and see someone walking two guinea pigs side by side, don't laugh. They're just obeying the law and keeping their pets emotionally balanced. 2. You'd think the state of Alabama has bigger problems, but nope. Fake mustaches made it onto the legislative radar. According to this bizarre law, it's illegal to wear a fake mustache in church if it could make someone laugh. So, if your cousin Billy slaps on a dollar store disguise and starts cracking up the choir, technically he's committing a crime. This law probably came from an era when church decorum was taken way too seriously. Imagine the chaos that led to this rule. One overly dramatic prank, an offended preacher, and suddenly it's written in the law books. The best part? It doesn't say anything about real mustaches, so if your natural lip sweater looks hilarious, you're in the clear. Only in Alabama could facial hair become a moral hazard. 3. In Singapore, gum isn't a snack, it's contraband. The government banned chewing gum in 1992 because people were sticking it everywhere. Under bus seats, in keyholes, even on elevator buttons. Tired of cleaning up the sticky mess, the city went nuclear and outlawed the stuff entirely. If you're caught selling or importing it, you could face a fine that makes your jaw drop harder than any bubble pop. But the rule has relaxed slightly. Now, you can buy medicinal or nicotine gum from pharmacies with a prescription. Still, imagine a customs officer catching a pack of juicy fruit and treating it like narcotics. Singapore might be spotless, but it's also the only place where Wrigley's could make you a wanted criminal. 4. Once upon a time, feeding pigeons in Venice was practically a tourist sport. People would toss crumbs at St. Mark's Square and in return get mobbed by hundreds of winged freeloaders. It looked charming in postcards, but in reality, those birds were turning marble into dust with their, well, biological contributions. The city finally cracked down with a law banning pigeon feeding entirely. Violators can be fined hundreds of euros, all because they tossed a few breadcrumbs to what Venetians now call flying rats. These pigeons have since gone on hunger strikes, probably, while tourists sneak crumbs like criminals. So if you're in Venice and a pigeon gives you the sad eyes, resist. You're not being heartless. You're being law-abiding in one of the world's most romantic cities. 5. In Denmark, naming your baby isn't just a family decision. It's a government process. The country has an official list of about 7,000 approved baby names. If your creative brain thinks Banana, Zeus, or Princess Sparkle would make a cute birth certificate moment, the Danish authorities will say Nej. The law was created to protect children from names that could cause embarrassment or bullying. So, while Americans have kids named Northwest, Danes keep things orderly with good old-fashioned Hans and Freya. You can apply for special approval for a unique name, but it's a bureaucratic quest worthy of a Viking saga. So yes, Denmark might be one of the happiest nations on Earth, but it's also the one where baby names must pass a vibe check. 6. Yes, Japan actually has a metabo law. It's not illegal to eat sushi until you explode, but the government does regulate waistlines. Companies and local governments must measure employees' wastes every year, and if too many workers are above the set limit, 85 km for men, 90 cm for women, the employer gets fined. The goal is to fight obesity and reduce healthcare costs. While it's not like police are out there with measuring tapes at McDonald's, the law adds social pressure to stay fit. Imagine your boss reminding you to cut down on ramen, or the company pays the price. Only in Japan could public health become a national waistline audit. So if you ever move there, your diet isn't just a personal choice, it's a matter of civic duty. 7. If you've ever forgotten your spouse's birthday, count your blessings you don't live in Samoa. There, forgetting your wife's birthday isn't just grounds for silent treatment, it's literally illegal. The Samoan government decided that hurt feelings and angry wives deserved legal protection. No one knows exactly how they enforce this, but one can only imagine the courtroom drama. Your Honor, he remembered the wedding anniversary, but not my birthday. Guilty. While the punishment isn't jail time, it's said to involve fines, or perhaps worse, eternal shame. The law might sound funny, but it probably keeps Samoan husbands on their toes. Flowers, gifts, reminders, and alarm apps are a must. So gentlemen, if you ever visit Samoa, set that birthday reminder early unless you want to become part of legal history. 8. Yes, the Sunshine State really said, no bikini karaoke. According to old Florida law, it's illegal to sing while wearing a swimsuit in public places. The law is a relic from the early 1900s, when public decency was taken very seriously. Apparently, too seriously. Imagine being fined for humming Under the Sea while floating in a pool. Thankfully, no one's enforcing it now, but technically, if you burst into song at Miami Beach, you're breaking the law. The weirdest part, the rule doesn't say anything about dancing in a swimsuit, so twerking is fine. Singing, not so much. Florida truly remains America's wild card. Alligators in pools, hurricanes named like Disney villains, and laws that turn karaoke into a crime. It's the only state where your pool party might require a lawyer. 9. Yes, you read that right. The British government passed the Salmon Act of 1986, and one of its most bizarre clauses makes it illegal to handle salmon in suspicious circumstances. The law was meant to prevent illegal salmon poaching, but its wording turned it into a comedy legend. What exactly counts as suspicious salmon handling? Sneaking around with a fish in your coat? Whispering to it? Staring too lovingly? No one knows. Yet technically, if you walk through London holding a salmon like it's your sidekick, a police officer could question your intentions. Britain has given the world many mysteries. Stonehenge, Big Ben, and now, what defines salmon suspicion? It's the kind of rule that sounds like a Monty Python sketch, but is completely real. Fishy business indeed. 10. In Thailand, the image of the king is sacred, and since his portrait appears on all Thai currency, stepping on money is a big no-no. Accidentally drop a coin and stomp on it to stop it from rolling away. Congratulations, you just committed a crime against the monarchy. The law stems from deep cultural respect for the royal family. It's not just about dirt. It's about reverence. Even crumpling a bill too carelessly can raise eyebrows. Tourists unaware of this sometimes find themselves in awkward situations when they try to chase runaway change. The moral here? When in Thailand, treat your cash like a holy relic. Kneel for it, gently pick it up, maybe even apologize to it. Because in this country, the king's face isn't just money, it's dignity on paper. 11. If you ever decide to start a French farm, be careful what you name your pigs. In France, it's illegal to name any pig Napoleon. The reason? Respect for the country's most famous emperor. Apparently, letting a muddy little porker share his name is considered an insult to national pride. So if your pig starts acting like a miniature general, that's fine. Just don't call him Napoleon, or you could technically face a fine. The law comes from an old tradition of protecting the dignity of historical figures. Imagine someone yelling, "Napoleon, stop rolling in the mud," in Paris. Instant scandal. Today, enforcement is rare, but the rule still stands. So if you're ever in France, name your pig Pierre, Paul, or even Piggy Smalls, just not Napoleon, unless you want your breakfast bacon to start a political incident. 12. In Canada, it's illegal to scare the Queen. Yes, in Canada, it's against the law to intentionally frighten Her Majesty. While it sounds like a joke, this rule comes from old British colonial law still technically in force. The idea was to protect the dignity and safety of the royal figurehead, because apparently booing the Queen could shake the foundations of the Commonwealth. Of course, it's not exactly a common offense today, since the Queen doesn't pop by Tim Hortons too often. But the law remains, meaning that if you ever meet the monarch in Canada, you'd better keep your practical jokes in check. No fake spiders, no sudden boo moments, and definitely no whoopee cushions. It's one of those laws that proves even centuries-old courtesy can survive in the modern world, because nothing says respect like not scaring a 90-year-old royal. 13. Arizona's Wild West past produced some wild laws, and this one takes the soap. Back in the 1920s, a local donkey wandered into a rancher's empty bathtub to cool off. Then a flash flood swept through town, carrying donkey, tub, and all into a canyon. The rescue operation was so chaotic and expensive that lawmakers decided never again. Thus, a law was passed forbidding donkeys from sleeping in bathtubs. To this day, it technically stands. Imagine being a police officer writing that citation. "Sir, we caught your donkey napping in a clawfoot tub again." The law might sound ridiculous now, but it's a perfect example of how one bizarre incident can turn into permanent policy. Arizona may be full of cowboys, cacti, and rattlesnakes, but apparently, the real menace was a sleepy donkey with poor bathing habits. 14. If you're in Milan, don't forget to flash those pearly whites. It's actually against the law to frown in public places unless you're at a funeral or visiting a hospital. This cheerful law dates back to an old ordinance designed to keep morale high and promote good citizenship. So technically, walking around with a grumpy face could make you a criminal. Imagine a police officer telling you, "Smile or pay a fine." It's like living inside a permanent motivational poster. The law is rarely enforced today, but it's still officially on the books. So next time you're in Milan and someone cuts you off in traffic, just grin through the frustration. You're not faking happiness. You're being law-abiding. In the city of fashion and espresso, even your mood needs to stay stylishly positive. 15. China decided to take spiritual bureaucracy to the next level. According to Chinese law, Buddhist monks must get government approval before reincarnating. Yes, there's actual paperwork involved in coming back from the dead. The law was created to control the selection of spiritual leaders, especially in Tibet, where reincarnation plays a big role in choosing lamas. It sounds like a plot from a surreal comedy. Sorry, sir, your afterlife application has been denied. Technically, this means if you plan on being reborn, you better get a permit first. While enforcement might be tricky, because how do you arrest someone who's already back? The law shows how serious bureaucracy can get. It's proof that in some places, red tape even reaches into the afterlife. Somewhere, a ghost is probably standing in line, waiting for its reincarnation stamp. 16. Germany's Autobahn is famous for having no speed limit, but it's not a place for slackers. If your car runs out of gas on that high-speed highway, you can actually be fined. The logic is simple. Stopping on the Autobahn is dangerous, and running out of fuel is considered preventable. So if you didn't plan ahead, that's your fault, not the car's. Picture this. You're flying down the road at 150 mph, then sputter to a stop while sports cars zoom past. Not only is it terrifying, It's illegal. The German government expects drivers to be efficient, alert, and full of gas. Literally. So if you ever plan a road trip through Germany, fill up your tank before you embrace your inner speed demon. On the Autobahn, even a simple mistake can make you a lawbreaker in record time. 17. Scotland might be home to castles and bagpipes, but it's also home to one of the world's most generous bathroom laws. By tradition, if you knock on someone's door and ask to use their toilet, they're legally obliged to let you in. It's a relic of old hospitality customs meant to ensure travelers were never left in distress. So technically, you could walk up to a stranger's cottage in the Highlands and request restroom access, and they'd have to comply. Whether anyone still follows it today is another story. But it's a fun conversation starter. Imagine trying this in modern Edinburgh. "Excuse me, kind sir, nature calls." It's a quirky reminder of how much old British courtesy once mattered. In Scotland, kindness isn't just encouraged, it's flush with legality. 18. Australia's criminal code includes a rule straight out of a rom-com. It's illegal to crash or disrupt a wedding or funeral. So if you were planning to pull a dramatic "I object" moment, think twice. The law was designed to prevent public disturbances, but has become a comedic favorite among trivia lovers. Imagine a police officer tackling a jealous ex just as they burst into the ceremony, shouting, "Don't marry him." Technically, that's a criminal offense. The same goes for funerals. No outbursts, pranks, or spontaneous musical numbers allowed. It's one of those laws that makes perfect sense in theory, but sounds hilarious in practice. After all, nothing ruins until death do us part like someone getting handcuffed before the cake is even cut. 19. In South Korea, police officers must report every bribe, even small ones in South Korea. The fight against corruption is so strong that even a cup of coffee can become an ethical dilemma. According to the Kim Jong-ran Act, public officials, teachers, and journalists must report any gift or bribe over a tiny limit, sometimes as little as a few dollars. That means if a police officer accepts a free snack from a local bakery, they technically need to file a report. The law is meant to promote transparency, but it's also created some hilarious real-life confusion. Imagine officers trying to explain that they're not corrupt. They just really wanted a latte. It's all about keeping government clean, even if it means making generosity suspicious. In South Korea, honesty is mandatory, caffeine optional. 20. In the United States, it's illegal to mail a building. You can mail a lot of weird things in the US. Live lobsters, potatoes, even baby chicks, but mailing an entire building? That's where Uncle Sam draws the line. The U.S. Postal Service has strict rules against mailing immovable objects, which technically includes buildings. This law became famous thanks to one clever man in 1916 who actually did mail a house. He sent a dismantled building piece by piece to avoid shipping costs. The Postal Service was not amused and promptly banned the practice. So yes, you can ship a pineapple or a live insect, but a house is off limits. The rule might seem obvious now, but it proves that if there's a loophole, someone will find it. Only in America could someone turn architecture into a postage problem. 21. In Greece, you can't wear high heels at ancient sites. If you're planning a trip to Greece, leave your stilettos at home. The Greek government made it illegal to wear high heels at ancient monuments like the Acropolis. Apparently, sharp heels were chipping away at centuries-old marble. So, to protect history, they banned the fashion offenders. Imagine walking up the steps of the Parthenon, and a guard stops you, not for security reasons, but for your shoes. It's one of those laws that makes perfect sense, but sounds hilarious in practice. You can practically picture the sign: no chewing gum, no littering, no Louboutins. Tourists might not love the rule, but archaeologists sure do. After all, the ruins have survived wars, earthquakes, and time itself. They shouldn't have to fight stilettos too. So next time you visit Greece, wear sneakers and save the history from your fabulous footwear. 22. In Texas, it's illegal to sell your eye. Texas law draws the line between being a generous donor and a back-alley salesman. It's illegal to sell your eye, or any human organ for that matter. Apparently, someone thought organ trafficking might become a side hustle, so the state decided to step in. You can donate your organs, but the moment money enters the conversation, it's crime time. Picture a shady cowboy whispering, "Got a spare eyeball." That's the scenario lawmakers wanted to stop. The rule may sound absurd, but it's part of a larger federal effort to stop black market body part sales. Still, the idea of someone casually listing an eyeball on Craigslist feels straight out of a dark comedy. So if you ever find yourself short on cash in Texas, maybe sell your boots instead. Your eyes are staying put. By law. 23. In Japan, you can't dance after midnight. Once upon a time, Japan had a no dancing after midnight rule. It dates back to the 1940s when dance halls were seen as dens of moral decay. For decades, clubs could only allow dancing until the clock struck 12. After that, everyone had to stop and awkwardly sway in silence. Police actually enforced this, raiding clubs and checking for people grooving illegally. The law finally relaxed in 2015, but it technically still exists in some regions. Imagine a bouncer shouting, "Stop the beat! It's midnight!" and everyone freezing mid-move like it's a game of musical statues. While modern Japan is far more relaxed, the ghost of that curfew still haunts the dance floor. So if you're out in Tokyo past midnight, maybe keep it to a gentle head bob. Otherwise, you might be breaking some very groovy laws. 24. In the United Kingdom, you can't die in the Houses of Parliament. Yes, you read that right. It's technically illegal to die inside the Houses of Parliament. The rule was born out of old royal protocol, not common sense. Anyone who dies on royal grounds is entitled to a state funeral, and the government wanted to avoid that awkward expense. So they simply outlawed dying there. Problem solved. Of course, enforcing it would be impossible. What are they going to do? Arrest a ghost? But the law has become a legendary piece of British trivia. Imagine a tourist feeling faint and a guard rushing over, shouting, "Not here, mate. Take it outside." It's one of those perfectly British rules, polite, practical, and utterly ridiculous. The best part is that no one really knows if it was ever officially repealed. So if you're planning a political protest, stay hydrated and alive. 25. In Oklahoma, you can't make ugly faces at dogs. Oklahoma takes animal respect seriously. So seriously that it's illegal to make an ugly face at a dog. Yes, the state has a law protecting canines from rude humans. Apparently, back in the early 1900s, someone made a face at a police dog, got bitten, and blamed the animal. Lawmakers decided to defend the dog's honor by outlawing facial insults. Imagine an officer shouting, "Put your face down, sir. You're offending the German Shepherd." While no one's been arrested for it lately, the law technically remains. So if you're ever in Oklahoma, keep your expressions friendly, especially around furry citizens. It's a small reminder that in some parts of the world, dogs really are man's best friend and also man's most legally protected audience. 26. In India, flying a kite without permission is a crime. India may have a colorful kite-flying culture, but technically, you need government permission to do it. The law, buried in the Indian Aircraft Act of 1934, classifies kites as aircraft. That means flying one without approval is like piloting a plane without a license. Obviously, no one's applying for kite pilot certificates, but the law is still there. Imagine cops storming a rooftop festival, demanding flight clearance from kids holding string. The rule was meant to regulate air safety during British rule, but now it's a hilarious relic of bureaucracy gone wild. Every January, millions of people still fly kites during festivals, blissfully unaware they're technically outlaws. So if you ever visit India during kite season, enjoy the view. But know that every fluttering paper bird is, by law, part of an underground air force. 27. In Alaska, you can't wake a sleeping bear for a photo. If you're ever hiking in Alaska, resist the urge to poke a sleeping bear for that perfect Instagram shot. It's illegal. The law was made to protect both humans and bears from bad decisions. Apparently, enough people thought it was a good idea to wake a 600-pound carnivore for a selfie that the state had to step in. It's the ultimate example of laws born from stupidity. You can almost hear the rangers sigh. We shouldn't have to say this. The law applies to both tourists and locals, meaning if you disturb a hibernating bear, you'll face fines or worse. So, Alaska made it official. Sleeping bears stay sleeping. Take your photos from a safe distance, and remember, if your Instagram caption starts with, "This might be dumb, but it probably is." 28. In New Zealand, you can't name your child Lucifer. New Zealand's government maintains a strict baby name approval system, and one name they've banned permanently is Lucifer. Several parents have tried, arguing it just means lightbringer, but the government's not buying it. Officials consider it offensive and potentially harmful to the child, so even though you can name your kid King, Messiah, or Justice, Lucifer is off limits. The rule is all about preventing names that cause social problems, but it's still funny to imagine a baby registry officer saying, "Sorry, we don't do fallen angels here." The law has stopped plenty of bizarre names over the years, like For Real, V8, and Anal. New Zealand clearly wants to save kids from playground ridicule and existential crises. So if you're set on a devilish baby name, maybe go with Lucian. It's classy, legal, and much less demonic. 29. In France, men must wear Speedos at public pools. In France, baggy swim trunks are a no-go. The law requires men to wear tight-fitting swimwear, specifically Speedos, at public pools. The reasoning is surprisingly practical: hygiene. Officials believe looser shorts can carry dirt or bacteria from the outside, so they made a rule forcing everyone to look like they're auditioning for a Baywatch reboot. It's both strict and hilarious. Tourists often show up in board shorts, get stopped by lifeguards, and are forced to buy emergency Speedos from vending machines. Nothing says vacation gone wrong, like squeezing into spandex for the sake of public cleanliness. While it might sound extreme, the French take their pools seriously. So gentlemen, if you're planning a dip in Paris, leave the surf shorts at home. The law wants you aerodynamic, disinfected, and just a little bit fabulous. 30. In Israel, picking your nose while driving is illegal. Israel's road safety laws go beyond seatbelts and speeding. Apparently, it's illegal to pick your nose while driving because it counts as distracted behavior. Police have the authority to fine anyone seen engaging in grooming activities that interfere with focus on the road. So yes, if you're caught mining for nose gold behind the wheel, you could end up with a ticket. The law aims to prevent accidents, but it's hard not to laugh imagining an officer writing, "Violation, digital excavation while operating a vehicle." It's one of those rules that remind you some laws exist because people really do the things no one should. So next time you're in Tel Aviv, keep your hands on the wheel and out of your face. Traffic fines are bad, but embarrassment at a checkpoint is worse. 31. In China, you must respect the national anthem, or else. In China, you can get fined or even jailed for disrespecting the national anthem. That means no mocking, remixing, or performing it in the wrong place. A man once played it sarcastically at a karaoke bar and got arrested. The law even specifies when and where it can be sung, mostly at official events. It might sound over the top, but it's serious business in China. The anthem is considered sacred, not background music for your TikTok. Imagine someone remixing it into a techno beat. The authorities wouldn't be dancing. The rule reflects the country's strict respect culture. So if you're visiting and the anthem starts playing, stop what you're doing, stand up straight and keep your poker face on. In China, even music demands discipline. 32. In Canada, it's illegal to remove a bandage in public. Yes, Canada, the land of politeness, has a law against taking off bandages in public. It's one of those medical meets manners laws, probably created to protect public hygiene or just people's lunch appetites. Picture a guy at a cafe peeling off an old bandage while others are trying to enjoy soup. Disgusting, right? Lawmakers thought so too. While it's rarely enforced, technically, that strip of adhesive privacy must stay private. Canadians are known for saying sorry a lot. So this law fits perfectly. Sorry for bleeding in public is a scenario the government wants to avoid. It's a small but charming example of how far Canada will go to keep things polite. So next time you're in Toronto, keep your bandages on until you're home. It's not just good manners, it's the law. 33. In the Philippines, you can't drive without singing. In Manila, taxi drivers are encouraged, almost required, to sing while driving. It's part of the city's Happy Driver program, created to reduce road rage. Drivers who sing are believed to stay calmer, friendlier, and more patient in traffic. It's not exactly a strict law, but more like a quirky policy that stuck. Some drivers take it very seriously, belting out power ballads while weaving through chaos. Imagine a taxi ride where the driver croons Whitney Houston between honks. It's an experience. The city even gives awards to the happiest drivers. So yes, in the Philippines, singing in traffic isn't just entertainment, it's civic duty. Other countries fine you for loud music. Manila practically promotes it. Who knew karaoke could be public safety training? 34. In California, it's illegal to eat frogs that died. During frog jumping contests, yes, this is a real law. In California, towns like Calaveras host famous frog jumping competitions every year. People bring their best frogs to compete for glory. But lawmakers had to make a rule. If your frog dies during the contest, you can't eat it. Apparently, someone once decided not to waste their amphibian athlete. So now it's officially banned. You can race them, cheer for them, name them, but not eat them if tragedy strikes. It's one of those laws that shows how Californians can turn anything into a festival and a regulation at the same time. So if you ever attend one of these quirky events, remember, it's all fun and games until someone suggests frog stew. At that point, you're not just weird, you're a criminal. 35. In Russia, dirty cars are against the law. In some Russian cities, driving around in a filthy car can get you fined. The law aims to keep streets looking clean and prevent license plates from being obscured. But locals joke that it's just a way to make car washes rich. The rule doesn't specify how dirty is too dirty, so it's up to the officer's opinion. Imagine getting pulled over because your car looks sad. In winter, when mud and snow cover everything, this becomes especially ridiculous. Some clever drivers even write, "Wash me," in the grime as protest art. The irony? The roads are often dirtier than the cars. Still, if you're ever in Moscow, keep that vehicle sparkling. You never know when a cleanliness cop might strike. It's a law that proves even in Russia, appearances matter. 36. In Indonesia, masturbation can lead to jail time. Indonesia has some of the world's strictest decency laws, and one of them bans masturbation, punishable by up to 2 years in prison. The rule comes from moral and religious codes meant to maintain public purity. Obviously, it's nearly impossible to enforce, but the fact that it's written into law makes it one of the strangest moral mandates out there. Imagine being the officer assigned to investigate that. It's awkward just thinking about it. While rarely applied today, it's still technically on the books, reminding everyone that personal privacy isn't always protected. Indonesia's approach may sound extreme, but it shows how cultural values can turn into legal codes. So if you visit Bali, maybe stick to yoga and beaches. Some things are better left unregulated, but not in this country. 37. In New Jersey, it's illegal to frown at a police officer. New Jersey's laws include one of the funniest etiquette rules ever. Technically, you're not allowed to make a disrespectful face at a police officer. That includes frowning, scowling, or grimacing. The intent was to prevent harassment or threats, but it reads like a commandment for eternal cheerfulness. Imagine being ticketed for bad vibes. License and smile, please. While officers don't enforce it seriously, the law still exists. It's the perfect example of how trying to legislate respect can go hilariously wrong. If anything, New Jersey's reputation for attitude makes this law even funnier. So if you ever get pulled over there, keep that poker face polite, or risk turning your mood into a misdemeanor. It's not just about the law, it's about looking like you love it. 38. In South Africa, you can't wrestle a bear. This one sounds like an obvious safety rule, but it's actually on South Africa's law books. It's illegal to wrestle a bear, not because it's cruel to humans, but because it's considered animal cruelty. The funny part? There are no native bears in South Africa. The law was likely imported from old British Animal Protection Acts. Still, the mental image of someone squaring up to a bear in Johannesburg is comedy gold. Sir, put the grizzly down. The rule exists purely on principle, because apparently, somewhere, someone thought it needed to be said. So if you're ever in South Africa and spot a bear, unlikely, keep your distance. You're not just protecting yourself, you're obeying the law and earning common sense points in the process. 39. In the UK, handling a fish suspiciously isn't the only weird food law. Britain's food laws are full of gems, and here's another. It's illegal to eat mince pies on Christmas Day in England. This strange rule dates back to Oliver Cromwell in the 1600s, who banned festive foods as sinful indulgences. The law was never formally repealed, so technically, your holiday dessert is an act of rebellion. Imagine sitting by the fire, biting into a mince pie and whispering, "For freedom." It's the most British crime imaginable, breaking the law with pastry. No one enforces it today, but it's become a favorite trivia tidbit every Christmas. So if you want to feel like a daring outlaw without actually doing harm, skip the heist and grab dessert. One bite and you're a criminal in the name of Christmas cheer. 40. In Thailand, you must wear underwear when leaving the house. Thailand's decency laws go to hilarious lengths. It's illegal to go out in public without wearing underwear. The rule was created decades ago to maintain public modesty during a time when Western fashion was changing fast. Today, no one's checking. But technically, if you leave your house commando, you're breaking the law. The funny part is how impossible it would be to enforce. What are officers supposed to do? Conduct underwear inspections? Still, the law remains, serving as a moral reminder to stay decent, even beneath your clothes. So if you're ever in Bangkok and thinking about skipping laundry day, reconsider. Thailand's police may have more pressing issues, but no one wants to risk getting arrested for breezy fashion choices. Modesty, it seems, starts from the inside out. 41. In North Carolina, you can't sing off-key. Yes, it's technically illegal to sing out of tune in North Carolina. Apparently, someone had enough of bad karaoke nights and decided to call in the law. The rule dates back to when public gatherings were expected to be orderly, and off-key singing was seen as a disruption. Imagine getting handcuffed after your rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody. The cops wouldn't even need a siren. Your voice already did the job. So next time you're belting out your favorite track at a barbecue in Charlotte, make sure you hit the notes. Otherwise, your American Idol audition might happen in a courtroom. The best part? The law never defines what counts as off-key. So technically, it's all in the ear of the beholder. Maybe it's safer to just lip-sync your way through the South. 42. In Switzerland, it's illegal to own just one guinea pig. This one's surprisingly wholesome. In Switzerland, guinea pigs are considered social animals, and the government decided it's cruel to keep just one because they get lonely. So, by law, you need at least a pair. Imagine the Swiss police knocking on your door asking, "Where's his little buddy?" It's like the cutest interrogation ever. This law shows that Switzerland doesn't just care about banks and chocolates. It's a champion for guinea pig friendships. However, it can get tricky. When one dies, owners often rent a temporary guinea pig companion to avoid breaking the law. Yes, guinea pig dating services exist in Switzerland. Somewhere, there's a furry little bachelor filling in until a new friend arrives. It's probably the only law on earth that's this adorable. No crime, just cuddles. 43. In Alabama, it's illegal to wear a fake mustache in church. In Alabama, if you're rocking a fake mustache and making people laugh in church, you're technically breaking the law. This rule was created long ago to preserve the solemnity of worship. Basically, some joker probably showed up with a ridiculous mustache, got everyone giggling during Sunday Mass, and lawmakers said, "Never again." Fast forward to today, and the rule still exists. So if you were planning to prank your pastor with a dollar store disguise, think twice. What makes it funnier is that real mustaches are totally fine. So if you were blessed with naturally hilarious facial hair, you're safe. Only the imposters are in trouble. It's one of those laws that proves humor and holiness don't always mix. At least not in Alabama. 44. In France, it's illegal to name a pig Napoleon. This one's straight out of history class and comedy combined. In France, you can't name your pig Napoleon. Why? Because the French government decided it's disrespectful to their famous emperor. The rule was made to prevent people from mocking historical figures. But come on, no one's taking bacon advice from Bonaparte. Still, the law stands. Imagine introducing your pig at a pet contest and suddenly being questioned for treason. What's his name? Pierre. Definitely Pierre. It's hilarious because Napoleon himself had no problem with conquest and chaos, but apparently being compared to a pig was a step too far. If George Orwell were French, Animal Farm might have been banned for the same reason. So if you're in France, keep your pig names original. Maybe Hamlet instead. 45. In Denmark, you can't name your baby whatever you want. In Denmark, baby names are government approved, literally. There's a list of around 7,000 names you can choose from. If your favorite name isn't on it, you must apply for permission. The reason? To protect kids from weird or inappropriate names. So while Americans might name their kids Pilot Inspector or Northwest, Danes are stuck with traditional options like Frederick and Sophie. Imagine explaining to your child that they couldn't be called Lightning McQueen because the government said no. The upside is that no one in Denmark will grow up resenting their parents for a name like Banana. Still, it's a bit funny that a country known for design freedom limits creativity when it comes to baby names. Bureaucracy begins at birth. 46. In Arizona, it's illegal for a donkey to sleep in a bathtub. Yes, Arizona has a bathtub donkey law. Back in 1924, a rancher's donkey used to nap in an old bathtub every day. One night, a flash flood carried the tub. and the donkey, miles downstream. The townspeople had to spend hours rescuing it, and lawmakers decided to make sure it never happened again. The result? A law banning donkeys from sleeping in bathtubs. It's oddly specific, but hey, at least someone cared enough about plumbing safety. Today, it's one of those rules that make tourists double-check if it's a joke. Nope, it's real. Arizona, where cacti are tough, but bathtubs are for humans only. 47. In Thailand, stepping on money is illegal. In Thailand, if you accidentally step on a coin or bill, you're breaking the law. That's because Thai currency has the image of the king, and stepping on it is seen as an insult to the monarchy. It's all about respect, not cash value. So, if your coin rolls under your foot, better let it go. This rule might sound funny to outsiders, but in Thailand it's taken very seriously. It's like dropping a picture of your grandma and stomping on it. Not cool. The law also serves as a reminder that respect for leadership can literally be underfoot if you're not careful. So next time you visit Bangkok, keep your feet away from your wallet. Seriously. 48. In Australia, you can't disrupt a wedding or funeral. In Australia, there's a specific law that says you can't intentionally interrupt or obstruct a wedding or funeral, and violators can face up to 2 years in jail. That's right, wedding crashers aren't just rude down under, they're criminals. This law probably came after too many drunk uncles tried to object at the wrong time. It's meant to protect emotional ceremonies from chaos, but it also gives new meaning to speak now or forever, hold your peace. Imagine someone bursting into a wedding shouting, "Don't do it," and being tackled by police mid-sentence. Love and law enforcement make a weird combo, but it works. In Australia, it's all smiles. Until you try to photobomb a bride. 49. In Italy, it's illegal to die without a burial plot. This one's both dark and hilarious. In some Italian towns like Falciano del Massico, it's illegal to die unless you already own a burial plot. The reason? The local cemetery ran out of space. When residents started passing away without plots, officials decided to solve it with bureaucracy instead of expansion. So technically, dying became an offense. Of course, enforcement's impossible. What's the punishment? A fine from beyond the grave. The law basically pressures people to plan ahead. It's like Italy's way of saying, even death requires paperwork. Only in Europe could running out of cemetery space become a legal issue. Talk about a law that's to die for. 50. In Japan, dancing after midnight was illegal until 2015. Yes, for decades, Japan had a law banning public dancing after midnight. The rule started after World War II to crack down on immoral behavior in nightclubs. But by the 2000s, it became absurd. Tokyo had some of the best DJs in the world, yet technically, no one was allowed to dance past 12 a.m. Clubs tried to get around it by dimming lights and calling it foot movement exercise. Police even raided venues to catch dancers in the act. Finally, in 2015, Japan legalized late-night dancing again, to much celebration. Imagine the joy when people could finally do the Macarena without breaking the law. It's the most polite rebellion ever. The government literally had to permit people to party. 51. In Samoa, it's illegal to forget your wife's birthday. If you're the forgetful type, Samoa might not be your ideal destination. There, it's actually illegal for a husband to forget his wife's birthday. Not just you'll sleep on the couch, illegal. We're talking real fines and public embarrassment. The law was created to promote respect and family harmony, but it feels like the government just wanted to protect men from themselves. Imagine a police officer knocking on your door. "Sir, you're under arrest for not buying flowers." It's both terrifying and fair. After all, how many relationships could be saved if every man had legal motivation to remember? The lesson here? Mark your calendar, set an alarm, and maybe even tattoo the date on your arm. Because in Samoa, love isn't just romantic, it's regulated. 52. In Scotland, if someone knocks and asks to use your toilet, you must let them. Yes, in Scotland, refusing someone who desperately needs the bathroom can technically get you in trouble. It's part of an old hospitality law that expects homeowners to offer basic human courtesy. That's noble, but also awkward. Imagine you're enjoying a quiet evening when a stranger bangs on your door yelling, "I need to pee." By law, you can't say no. It's the politest invasion ever. The rule reflects Scotland's tradition of kindness, but it's also hilarious in modern times. No one wants to debate legal etiquette while someone's hopping foot to foot on your porch. So if you're ever in Scotland, rest assured that your bladder has legal rights. The Scots take their compassion and plumbing seriously. 53. In Singapore, chewing gum is banned. Chewing gum might seem harmless, but in Singapore, it's practically contraband. The ban started in 1992 after the government got tired of people sticking gum on trains, doors, and elevator buttons. The cleanup costs were sky high, so they outlawed it entirely. Bringing or selling gum can lead to huge fines, unless it's for medical reasons. That means nicotine gum is okay, but bubble gum will make you a criminal. Tourists often find this law ridiculous, imagining undercover cops patrolling for Wrigley's. Yet it worked. Singapore became one of the cleanest cities on Earth. Still, it's funny that in a place where everything is spotless, the biggest outlaw might just be someone blowing bubbles. If you visit, swallow your gum quietly or risk being labeled a minty fresh menace. 54. In England, it's illegal to handle salmon suspiciously. Yes, this is a real law. Under the UK's Salmon Act of 1986, it's illegal to handle salmon in suspicious circumstances. Lawmakers meant it to stop illegal fish trading, but the wording is so vague it sounds like a comedy sketch. What exactly counts as suspicious? Whispering to a salmon? Wearing sunglasses while holding one? No one really knows. Imagine getting caught by a policeman who says, "Sir, that fish looks dodgy." It's the most British crime imaginable. Polite, bizarre, and somehow about seafood. Over the years, it's become a running joke in the UK's legal circles. So if you're ever holding a salmon in England, make eye contact, act natural, and remember, the fish knows its rights.